G'day humans, Chris Stead here. Today I'm reviewing the latest earbuds from the Apple Beats by Dre stable. It's the Powerbeats Pro 2. It's been a whopping 6 years since the Powerbeats Pro first came out. That's pre-COVID era earbuds, and that's forever in the tech industry, 6 years. But you know, when they did come out, they made quite the impact because they brought with it kind of the acoustic depth and detail of the Beats by Dre range, and then added that to Apple's processor abilities, and then produced this amazing design where basically it just didn't fall off your head too easily at all, allowing you to wear music while you're playing sports or being active, doing workouts, exercise, that type of thing. But it's not 2019 anymore, it's 2025. There's a lot more competition on the scene, and 6 years is a long gap between drinks. So does it live up to the hype? Has the wait been worth it? That kind of wait does bring with it a lot of anticipation. So let's dive into my Powerbeats Pro 2 review and find out. We're going to start with the price. Now these, well, there's good news and there's bad news. So the good news is that the Powerbeats Pro 2 costs the same as the Powerbeats Pro 1. So there hasn't been any sort of increase there over the last 6 years. Having said that, the bad news is that means they're still quite expensive. So they'll cost $399.95 here in Australia, $249 US overseas. So that's quite pricey. Now that puts it up there with like Bose in terms of price comparisons, but it's a fair way ahead of the likes of your Jabras and your Shocks, and a long way ahead of your Soundcores or your JBLs, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely the premium end of the experience, and therefore we're expecting a premium product. So let's jump in and have a look at the specs, because things have changed quite a bit in the last 6 years. So the Powerbeats Pro 2 is coming in 4 colors. There's Jet Black, Quicksand, Hyper Purple, and the Electric Orange, which I've got here, which is, I think, looks fantastic. This time it's got 5 different tip sizes included. So there was 4 in the last one, but there's 5 in this particular, well, this new model, the Pro 2. Now, in terms of, you know, what's happened with the sound, obviously a lot of it is hard to get across in just specs, but what they've said to us in the briefings is that, us being journalists, is there's a new front to rear venting system, an upgraded amplifier, and the acoustic transparent mesh has been added, and acoustic transducers are now angled towards the ear canal, so a bit of it kind of says the sound kind of travels straight down, and there's no kind of deflection or angling there. And there's a new custom dual layer transducer that minimizes harmonic distortion as well, and they go into quite a bit of depth with that, but just want to paint a picture for you of the improvements just in terms of the actual sound architecture, what's going on inside those earbuds. It's happened over the last 6 years. Now it's using the Apple H2 processor to drive it all. So that's an upgrade from the H1 that we saw last time. 5 of the kind of big additions we've got here, we've got active noise cancellation, so that's adaptive active noise cancellation. We've got a transparency mode, we've got adaptive equalizer, we've got personalized spatial audio. That's with if you're using it with an iOS device, you'll get that. There's a few things that are specific to Apple, as I'll go into. It's got heart rate monitoring now, so obviously that's a big addition and very pertinent to those who want to use this for exercise and workouts. In terms of sensors, we've got in-ear detect, we've got an accelerometer and a gyroscope this time. So that's going to play into that spatial audio, that kind of head tracking that you're going to get with the spatial audio effects. Now, battery life, the individual earbuds will give you 10 hours with ANC off, or 8 hours with the noise cancellation on. So that's okay. It's above average. It's okay. There's other earbuds out there that last longer, but 8 hours is fine. With the case though, the case holds additional 35 hours of charge with the ANC off, or an additional 28 hours with the ANC on. Now it's going to take 2 hours to charge that case up to full with the earbuds in it, but you can get 90 minutes worth of battery life from just a 5-minute charge, which is pretty solid. Now new as well is wireless charging, so you can just put this on a QR plate or whatever. and it will charge wirelessly. If you want to charge by cable, this time it's USB-C. I'm pretty sure that the Powerbeats Pro was using Lightning. It was that long ago. So this is USB-C cable now, much easier. Now nothing's changed on the weatherproofing side of things. So you're still looking at IPX4, which is going to handle a bit of rain, bit of sweat, some splashes. It's not going to handle being submerged, however, and they haven't tested it against dust at all. That doesn't mean it's not dust repellent, they just haven't got a testing for it. That's the X in the IPX4. Now, we've got 6 mics now. So we had 4 previously, we've got 6 now. That includes 2, so 1 on each earbud specific to voice calling. And then you've got 2 feed forward and 2 feed back. So that's 2 inside, 2 outside. That's going to handle your active noise cancellation and transparency mode, that kind of thing. In terms of the mic tech, we've got voice isolation if you're using through iOS. So that's handled on kind of the platform side of things. You've got wind mitigation tech in there. You've got targeted voice uplink, and you've got beam forming as well. Now, Bluetooth has jumped up to 5.3, which is potentially a little bit disappointing. Maybe 5.4 would have future-proofed it a little bit further. 5.4 also would have allowed for a bit more, well, close to lossless audio through Android. However, the Apple H2 does provide, well, they say lossless, but it's probably near lossless connection with iOS and the Beats. But yeah, 5.4 would have helped with Android. But anyway, Bluetooth 5.3 is definitely still solid. In terms of the dimensions, we're looking at 45mm height this is for the earbuds, 41mm width and 24mm depth. And the case, which is the earbuds are 20% smaller than the original Pros. And then with the case, which is 33% smaller than the original case, is looking at 75mm height, 66mm width, and that's where it's really changed. It's a lot, it's not as wide, and 34mm depth. Now, weight-wise, there's also been a trimming. I think it's 22% lighter at 17.4 grams, and that's the earbuds. And then the case is 69 grams. That's also lighter as well. They've also gone for a more sustainable approach with the packaging, which is all 100% fiber-based now. So that's a mix of recycled plants and also recycled fiber. Now let's jump into the design. I think they've done a fantastic job with the design of the Powerbeats Pro 2. As soon as you see it, you can see that it's a way more elegant design than what we saw with the last variant. I think it's a beautiful earbud. They've done a great work here with the ear hook. So it's nickel titanium alloy wire they've got going through here. It basically conforms to your ear a lot better and just holds it into place without taking up too much real estate. It actually fits pretty well over ear. It does take a little while to get used to the way to put it on. It's not a natural way of putting it on, but once you kind of got it, how to get it over your, lift it over your ear and get it onto your head properly, you definitely, start to really enjoy not only this new ear hook design, but just how comfortable it feels. It's interesting as well that I found that this fits pretty well with glasses on as too, so that's good because obviously they're designed to be, it's an athlete's earbud, but you want to be able to, for $399 anyway, be able to multitask with this. So for me to be able to use this sitting at the computer with my glasses on when I'm writing and typing and listening to music, as well as then when I go outside, play with the kids, while we're playing at the basketball with the kids and just running around and so forth like that, that's really cool as well. Now, in terms of the buttons on it, I'm really happy with that as well. So you've got your volume up and down. You've got a very tangible, I don't know if it'll come out. Probably can't hear or see that. But basically, it's not just the touch. So I get really frustrated with touch-based earbuds because it's too easy to bump and activate something. It's too confusing sometimes. Have I done it? Have I not done it? With this, the fact that it's actually got a tangible click, you can actually feel it go up and down. That really gives you an idea of whether or not you have activated what you want to activate, done what you want to do. It just feels better. So I really like the design there. I think that was a great choice and a great idea. It fits super snug. So I actually, luckily for me, I was the medium tip, so that's the one that comes as default already installed. Put it back on, you can get out the app and it'll actually, so I was first connected to the Android anyway, and when I clicked it on here into my ear, and you can do what they call it, fit, how does it fit your ear or something, and it just basically tests using the microphones whether or not the seal is complete, and lets you know whether you've got the right tip for you. And so that was really neat as well. But yeah, overall, beautiful design. It's a lot lighter, it's a lot smaller than the last one. It really doesn't feel like it's on. Like you notice it a bit, but yeah, super happy with the design. Really good with the case as well. It's just sleek, nice. I like that it's really smooth. There isn't any edges or anything that catch on it, so it's quite easy to just pull in and out of your bag or your backpack or your purse, whatever you happen to be using. There's going to be no dramas there. The smaller footprint, you can see there, it's not much bigger than the palm of my hand, is also obviously a big benefit as well. And how cool is the color? I really like the color. I just think the orange is great. I'm really happy I went with it. I was going to go boring and go black, and then I've got with the orange, and I totally rate it. I think the purple looks fantastic as well. And this case as well has a nice little magnetic kind of, you can see there. It's really easy to just put in and out. You're not going to stuff up like I always do with earbuds and do the USB thing, you know, where you put it in the right way, then you think it's the wrong way and switch it around and then go, no, I was right the first time, put it back in. That just doesn't happen with this as well. So yeah, overall, I think they've nailed the design. If I had to have one complaint at all, it's that they didn't really push the needle at all in terms of the weatherproofing. Just to have that kind of security of knowing that it's going to be able to hold out dust and debris. And you know, nowadays we've got so much of this kind of thing which is able to be submerged without freaking the hell out. So perhaps they could have done a little bit more there with the design, but overall I'm really stoked with the way it's come out. All right, let's get into the performance here. Now that's where things get a little bit interesting because it's not a slam dunk, as I'm about to go into. So in terms of like the user experience, when you first kind of pull them out, charge them up, and try to go for the sync, they sync wonderfully. I have so many problems syncing earbuds, it's ridiculous. These guys have just synced perfectly with my Android phone, perfectly with my iOS iPad, perfectly with my PC. They're all kind of just holding together nicely, so I can pretty much just switch from one device to the other, and this, I don't even have to do anything. It's happy to just connect. There's no disconnecting one, connecting the other. So that type of experience is all really good. Obviously, if you're doing it with Apple, there's benefits with Siri and voice control there. There's benefits with some of the processing ability, like with the voice noise reduction, with the spatial audio, things like that. But the Android version with the app is still pretty robust. The stuff you can do in the app's pretty solid. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty smartly designed. I really don't have any issues using it with any device, I've got to be honest. And I didn't really notice any significant difference listening between the devices either. I did test that specifically to do the same thing on the Android, on the PC, and on the iOS. It's just that spatial tracking that you definitely pick up on. And spatial tracking is really cool. It's really great as long as it's made for it. And when it's not, it's a bit disconcerting and a bit strange. But yeah, great. It's still a great feature to have if it's something that you're going to use. Now, in terms of the other kind of cool features like transparency mode and stuff like that, works great. The ANC, really solid. Like the fits, obviously getting the fit right is important, but it's super snug in there. And the ANC works great. The transparency mode is really quite clear, gives you a really good idea of what's going on the outside. I didn't really notice the adaptive EQ stuff as well. It only kind of kicks in if you're not using ANC, and I just tend to just always use ANC if I'm listening to music and so forth. So, but if you turn that off, then the adaptive EQ can step in, but I didn't really pick up on anything specifically to make me think that was doing something. But then again, I think it's based on whether or not you're losing kind of that seal. So I think that was just such a snug fit that it wasn't really that necessary for it to really come in. I think that's how it works anyway. In terms of the way it kind of holds in your ears while you're moving around, it's great. Like if you really shake your head about, like really shake it, you can feel it kind of slightly coming loose, like a millimeter or so. But like that's an extreme case. You're never really doing anything like that. And you know, at the end of the day, there's no fear, there's no worry that these things are going to fall off you. They're just sitting there really comfortable, really nice. So the performance side of all of that is fantastic. Call clarity, super happy with that as well. I went around the neighborhood making a bunch of calls went by the main road, made some calls, and every single person I was spoken to, I had the conversation at the end of it. I was kind of like, well, how was the call clarity? Give me some feedback. And they didn't even realize I was using earbuds. They thought I was just holding a phone to my face. So that sort of things all came through really, really well. And they've strived to make better efforts there. And yeah, from my experience, it's paid off. It's doing pretty well. Look, the battery life side of thing, that's pretty solid too. 8 hours, as I mentioned at the top. It's like, there's some earbuds, I think it shocks. No, Soundcore, I think might do about 12, 14 hours. It can strive to. But look, 8 hours is still super solid. It's going to get you through a good workout, some commuting. If you want to take it into work and then go to the gym at lunch and so forth, things like that, you're not really going to be worried there, especially with the case having so much charge as well. So I think battery-wise, nothing to really complain about there, no real issues. Where I did see problems, I said it wasn't a slam dunk at the start, is with the sound. So it's really interesting, right? So what I found, just me personally, is that on the low end, so the bass, it feels really full-bodied, really organic and natural. It's a great low end. It's that side of things is awesome. It's pretty good as you go into the mids as well. The mids are sounding good, authentic, and nice and clear. But when you get up into the highs, that's where things start to get a little muddied for me. They get a little tinny. There's a little bit of a tinniness to it. It kind of just sounds like almost like slightly out-of-bodied. It's hard to describe because it's something to kind of feel, but yeah, when it gets to that high end, it gets a bit muddled and it doesn't quite hit where I would like to see this hit, especially at this particular price point. Now, when you've got a whole soundscape going on, it pretty much hides it, and it's not too bad. Like, you got the bass, but when you're focusing on things that are more in that high end or stuff like dialogue, if you're watching TV, I tested this watching movies and watching some TV, watching some video, stuff like that, you really start to notice it, that kind of higher end, there's something a bit weird there going on. And I don't know if it's something that they can fix, post-release through firmware. I don't know if it's something like that can be fine-tuned. Maybe it can, hopefully it can. Definitely keep an eye on the channel because I'll put something up if that's the case. But yeah, so a little bit disappointed there. And one of the main ways I really picked up on it is because obviously I do a lot of video editing. And so I listen to way too much time listening to my own voice. And I'm always testing different headphones and headsets. So I'm always kind of testing them, doing video editing, stuff like that. I've just got them all day, when I'm testing them. And when I flick to these, I immediately noticed how much kind of higher and weirder my voice sounded. And that's where I kind of noticed that tinny effect. Was when I was like, oh, I know that's not how it sounds. So that was kind of where I started to go, oh geez, there's something a little wrong there. I started to test it a bit further, but yeah, so look, fingers crossed it's something that I can fine tune slightly and improve. But yeah, out of the box, out of the gate, that's where it kind of lets itself down. I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker, and I'll tell you why. It's because I've got earbuds that are more consistent and headphones like Sonos Ace, for example, which sounds beautiful across the whole frequencies. But I can't wear those when I'm running. They won't stay in. And I can't do the kinds of things I can do with these. So yeah, it's interesting in that regard. One thing I couldn't quite test is the heart monitoring. So I will have to update this review. Check out the comments. I think it's because it basically tracks through apps. So I think there's 7 or 8 apps that it's compatible with at launch. It's on iOS, and I tested them, but I couldn't get a heart rate monitor. And I think it's potentially because I'm testing this prior to release and the apps haven't updated. So I'm expecting to see some updates on launch day, and then I will see if I can get that tested for you. I'll put a comment in below, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, as an overall performance experience, like I said, not quite a slam dunk. For the most part, the Powerbeats Pro 2 knock it out of the park. I love the design. I love how well it sits in your head, and just when you're moving around and going crazy out on the field or on the basketball court, it stays true to your head and it delivers solid sound in that moment to moment when you're concentrating on something else and all's going well. I love the way that it's brought the modern features into the picture, things like your ANC, things like your transparency mode, things like spatial audio and the voice clarity on the calls and all that stuff coming up to speed, a bit of a longer battery life as well. It certainly doesn't hurt. And it's just user friendly. It's really easy to use. It's really easy to use cross device. It's really easy straight out of the box with syncing and all that kind of stuff. It does so much right, the Powerbeats Pro 2. I just wish for the price at $399 that it just had a more rounded sound. I just think that for that kind of price and for the fact that you're paying for brand here as much as you're paying for quality, I really felt a little bit let down by that kind of higher end and that kind of sense of tinniness, that sense of kind of not quite being right that I felt. Even if over the broader general landscape of the sound, if you just looked at it as a whole, it still sounds really good, especially because that low end just sounds so authentic and great. So in the end, is it for you? I think you just need to work out your use case here, because if you're thinking about just getting something that you just want to use for a little bit of exercise here and there, or just mostly it's going to be for work stuff or just commuting and things like that, then maybe that kind of sound issue is something that you want to hang out for a little bit and just wait and see if that can be resolved at all, or just to see whether other people have had the same experience that I've had. But if you are primarily buying these for their prime use case, which is to sit in your ears when you are active and moving and getting about, then wow, overwhelmingly there's positives here. So definitely worth considering in that regard. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about the Powerbeats Pro 2. Thank you very much for watching my review. Make sure you check out the other videos that I'm putting up. I've got an unboxing up. I've done a comparison with the original Powerbeats Pro as well. So you can go check those on the channel. Plus there's heaps of other earbud reviews and lots of tech stuff, and lots of travel stuff. Plenty to look at. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll check you later. You.